fail. So we are feeling her, and for that reason it needs to change, and that's why I support the Honourable Lady and want to put it forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mrs. Miller. It is truly a pleasure to serve under your chairship, and I speak in this debate as someone who has only recently taken parental leave myself, only a matter of weeks ago, on the birth of my son Hudson. Hear, hear. And I also speak as an employer who only this week, I want to extend my best wishes to my caseworker Craig, his wife Jen, on the birth of their son Ben, as he also takes his parental leave. So I stand here today as an employer and as a parliamentarian. Now, parental leave covers maternity, paternity, adoption leave, as well as shared parental leave. And that seems like a lot of things, but actually, what are we actually discussing? Welcoming a new baby home is a time filled with joy. It's also a time filled with hard work and very few sleepless nights, as I can attest. Parental leave is necessary to adjust to the realities of parenting, and it also allows time for practical issues such as recovery after giving birth, health visits, and that vital time of bonding and development. Too often, parents are forced back to work quicker than they would have liked to for financial constraints, and that's a balance that many parents have to make. But too often, the assumption is that the women will take that leave and the father will return to work. In a modern economy, too often now we find that mothers are earning more than their partners, that they would like to be able to stay at home for longer, but for financial constraints, they're forced back to work. But as we already know, there is a gap when a mother takes more than a year off work, as the Chair will know only too well from our extensive work on the Women Equalities Committee over many years on this issue, that there is already a gender pay gap, and this is only exacerbated by the fact that the parental leave policies that exist, not just here in the UK, but in other countries, prevent parents from making those choices, because fundamentally it comes down to the economics of who can afford to take that time off. Now, not only is parental leave good for the parents, it's good for the children, and it is good for business, yet the UK government is not going far enough to make sure that the entitlements are guaranteed for workers. Now, we have already heard that the full rate of maternity often only includes 12 weeks, and that many self-employed take as much as 6 weeks, and some take no leave at all. And as we've heard, not only this, but there's a failure to offer adequate parental, paternity, shared parental, and this only further compounds the maternity and pregnancy discrimination that so many women face in the workplace, and adds to the gender pay gap and pay inequality, and eventually pension inequality. So this has a real rounded effect that we need to consider on the impact of women and on their families and on their household incomes. But it's not just for women, it's also for fathers, it's for other partners, it's for families to be able to spend that time with their family and to recognise that their work within the workplace is valued and respected, and their job will be there to go back to, and too often that is not the case. We have already heard that there is insecurity, there are impermanent contracts, and we have already heard that, sadly, it's for the privileged few that they can afford to take extensive periods of leave. Now, this is notwithstanding the fairly extensive broken down record that I have made the case for miscarriage leave, as the Minister knows only too well, for shared parental leave, for neonatal leave, for fundamentally a radical overhaul of workplace policies, to not just policies but statute and workplace protections for workers, to allow them to take the leave that they duly should have in a period of time. It is a life event, as I have argued, as the Minister acknowledges, alongside the many other life events that people will encounter, and we need to adapt workplace policies and workplace protections to ensure that workers can adapt their lives and continue to be a valued member of our workforce. We have heard that many industries are failing to protect or even provide the most basic leave, and many parents are falling through that net. And sadly, the reality is that only legislation can fix that. And I would love to say that all workplaces would adopt really comprehensive policies that would address these issues, but the Minister and I know that that is not the case. Now, the fact is, it makes good economic sense to address the systemic problems in workplace culture which contribute to discrimination and pay disparity. Now, I wish to highlight that much of this could be done through the Employment Bill, and I have repeatedly, as the Minister knows, and I'm sure he is tired of my voice in the last fortnight, to say that on the need to reform employment protections and law in the UK, this is something we must address. However, there is a danger that much of the detail will be lost in an overwhelming employment bill, and I'm keen to hear either when this bill will approach or how the Minister and the Government intend to tackle these protections. Now, the Government appears to have shelved the bill, and there is no clear timetable for the introduction, and it is, I don't know where it is, but please feel free to correct me and tell me when this will be forthcoming. So once again, I ask the Minister for parliamentary time to be made to bring forward the employment bill, and can he confirm if this will include improvements to parental leave, pay, pregnancy and maternity discrimination and paid miscarriage leave? Again, got to get it in there. It is clear that reform is well overdue. The current system is allowing too many parents to fall through the net, and I know the Minister has listened attentively to these issues, but we do need action. So I urge the Minister to do all that he can to bring forward the employment bill to ensure that it's robust in its protections of workers' rights and to bring it forward to Parliament as a matter of urgency.
Just a minute.